Hello, my name is Angela and I'm Isheywisheystitches here on YouTube and over on Instagram, and on Ravelry Isheywisheystitch. Today I'm coming to you with a usual format podcast, so I'll explain what I'm wearing, my finished objects, my whips, any yarn acquisitions and yarny stories, and then right at the end I will give you a life update to explain why I've been absent from the podcast for so long. I actually watched my last podcast this morning so that I wouldn't repeat any finished objects, and there was really no danger of that, but it was 4 months ago since I published my last podcast, so stay tuned to find out why at the end of this episode. First off, my first finished object, which is what I'm wearing. This is the Fantail by Wool and Pine Designs. Now, I absolutely love Wool and Pine Designs as a designer. I've knit a few of their projects. I've got a lot more of the patterns in my pattern library, but they're just always such beautiful designs and they're really well thought out, and I think a really brilliant fit as well. Actually, this time last summer I was knitting a Wool and Pine design pattern because I remember taking it on holiday with me. So anyway, this is the Fantail. It is knit using the Merlin sock yarn that I got from Creative Anarchy, and actually that's one of my yarn acquisitions since the last podcast. I did speak about wanting to buy something in the release that she was doing at the time, and so that's what this is. I can't remember what the colourway is, but I can remember that the yarn is a fingering weight yarn, 20% linen, 80% merino. So it's knit up really nicely. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic. Also, it is actually quite a quick knit once you get going. So I started it quite a long time ago, but I picked it up again and really focused on it just about a week and a half ago and managed to get it finished. I was about here when I picked it up sort of last week, and I finished the yoke in a day or two, and then did the body, which is quite an easily to remember stitch pattern, and then there's the bottom section. I'll stand up to show you. The bottom section has a bit of a change to the stitch pattern, and then the bind off is very easy, and then similarly the sleeves is just an I-cord bind off, and because of the lace pattern you get this lovely sort of triangle shaping around the sleeves. So very nice knit, lovely to wear. I was hoping to take it on our summer holiday with us, so we're going to Rhodes in a few days, but I think it's actually too warm with the merino, so it's perfect for English summer on a day like today when it's not cold but it's not bright and sunny, it's sort of grey, but still sort of a bit humid, so this sort of linen in there helps with the cooling. I've got quite a few finished objects. I feel like I've not knit all that much because of the reason I haven't podcast is because I've been busy, but I have still made time for knitting because I really needed to. So I'm going to do the most recently finished first, which is this. So this is the Jacques scarf by Laura Penrose. I literally finished it just before recording this podcast, and it is a DK weight scarf. I got the yarn on a recent trip to Devon, so I was in Devon for a few days with my family, and we made the effort to go into Exeter, and I went to the Along Avec Anna shop, although Anna was on holiday herself, so she wasn't there, but I found this new to her yarn, which I'm not going to give loads of details on because I know that she just had it in the shop and she's planning to launch it online shortly, but just to say that it's got alpaca, cashmere and silk in it, so it's very, very soft. I got 2 skeins of the DK weight, one in this brown and one in the natural, and I made the Jacques scarf like this. Jacques scarf is a lovely pattern. I didn't test it because I was too busy. I thought I was too busy, but having knit it in just a few days, I kind of wish I had tested it at the time, although then I wouldn't have had this beautiful yarn to make it with. So yeah, it's a really, really quick pattern. It's been a lovely palette cleanser after this which is quite an involved pattern, and I've got a few more quite involved patterns that you will see shortly. But it's a short scarf, so it can be worn like this, with a triangle sort of down at the front, and it's not got loads to wrap around, so it's just enough just to give you that extra little bit of warmth. You know, I basically need it to get me from home in the car to work, which is quite a short drive, and then by the time I'm at work I probably shouldn't be wearing the scarf, but this one wouldn't be so overwhelming that I couldn't keep it on if it was a cold day, so really happy with that one. The next finished object I have not actually managed to wear, because you will see it is quite thick. So this is the Hannah sweater. It's a knitting for olive design, and it's with knitting for olive yarn. 2 strands of the mohair with 1 strand of the merino, I think. Yeah, it's knit on, I think, 6mm needles, and it's a sideways knit, so really fun construction. I can't actually remember the colourways I've made it with. I want to say there's a dusty artichoke in there, but I don't think it's not the same colour for both the silk and both the mohair and the merino. A lovely knit. It's going to be a little bit, I wouldn't say cropped, but like just at the top of the jeans length on me, so quite an in fashion length, which is not something I've been used to wearing, but I'm liking that I'm going to have some sweaters that are for my that are a bit more fitted, a bit more casual and comfortable, rather than the sort of oversized drowning me ones that I've made in the past. So yeah, really like that one. And then the last finished object, which I had just cast on in the last podcast, is this one, which is the Lise top by Sophie of the Knit Pearl Girl. And I did this as a test, and I've worn it such a lot since then. Again, it's a summer fabric, but I've made it long sleeve, so it's ideal for days like today, although I would say it's probably a little bit warm for a day like today actually, but it's ideal for that sort of English summer, long evenings when you're out in the evening, because it's long sleeve. I've just found a snag in it, unfortunately. But ideal for that, and transitional weather, so sort of spring and autumn. It is made with Holst Garn Coast, which is I think is a 50-50 cotton and merino blend, and then Isheywisheystitches Trio 1, which I can't remember what it has in it. The Isheywisheystitches Trio 1, I use the colour strawberry, and the Holst Coast, I use the colour geranium. And my camera never does the colour justice on when filming, but in person it's a really lovely sort of coral type colour, so my favourite. Absolutely love it. So those are my finished objects, and you'd think after 4 months away I'd have more than that, although I suppose 2 of them are sweaters and one's a t-shirt, so quite big garments, but I have just been so busy. Anyway, onto the whips, and I'm going to start with one that's in the same yarns as the Lise top, and I happen to have some perfume in there because I took it on a night out the other day and I haven't unpacked it since. So this is the Camden Camisole, which is also by Sophie of the Knit Pearl Girl, and yeah, same yarn, so that Holst Garn Coast and the Isheywisheystitches Trio 1, and at the moment it's like a 4-legged octopus, so a tetrapus, and yeah, it's at the point where it's joined in the round and it's the same pattern for ages and ages, but I find it quite hard on my hands because of the linen, and the cotton doesn't have as much give, so I can't actually do all of that much at once, which is a bit annoying because I wanted this to wear on holiday, and unless I risk it and really push for it in the next few days, which I think I could get it finished, but then I could have very sore hands. I just don't think that's going to happen. I will take it with me because this would be an easy one to knit there. I might not be able to finish it there just because obviously the knitting in the round part's easy, but the joining up the straps and the checking the length and all of that sort of stuff won't be happening when we're on holiday, and I won't want to block, well actually I might want to block it there because it would dry so quickly. Yeah, we'll see. I'll have a think about that and decide whether to take it with me. The other thing is taking the extra balls of yarn to finish it off, where I won't use very much of the extra balls, because these yarns are both 350 metre balls, so that's actually quite a lot, quite a large section of a cami top. So yeah, we'll see. But I want to get this finished this summer, because this is exactly the sort of whip that I will get to the end of August and I'll be like, well, I'm not going to wear that anytime soon, so I'm not going to knit on it. And then I'll get to this time next August and I won't have picked it up again, and then I'll be in that sort of cycle of, well, there's no point in knitting it now because I won't be able to wear it out of season. That's actually why I finished the Hannah sweater when I did, because I think I finished it in May, and at the end of May we went into a series of heat waves in the UK, so I haven't had an opportunity to wear it, but I knew if I didn't finish it then it would sit languishing and I would forget about it, or I'd have other things make me forget about it, such that I wouldn't knit it in time for wearing it in the autumn season, when actually if we had a particularly cold September day, I'm ready with that now. So yeah, I'm glad I got that finished, and as much as I haven't done loads of knitting lately, I have been quite good at sticking to my plans and not getting distracted by shiny things. Although I have been distracted by buying the patterns, I've not cast things on unless I've got something finished. So that's why I cast on the Jacques scarf the other day, because I finished this the other day. So I cast the Jacques scarf on Thursday, but then I went out in the evening and I kind of made lots of mistakes at the start, so I suppose I technically cast it on Friday. It's Monday today and I've finished it, so that's sort of 3.5 days getting it done. Anyway, I'm getting distracted by knitting this. I'm going to just get to the end of a rib and then I will put it down and talk about another whip. There we go, putting it down now. Right, the next whip is, oh, this is the Along avec Anna yarn, by the way. So I've got quite a lot left, so I can make 2 more. I can either make another Jacques scarf exactly the same, or I can make 2 like smaller scarves, you know, like the Flora scarf, which is an Along avec Anna pattern, which I have. I might make that with maybe the white one. We'll see. Okay, so the next whip is this one, which is, oh no, it got caught on a crochet hook. So this one is Phantom Fuzz by Park Knits, and this is one I cast on last summer, and the yarn is a Creative Anarchy yarn, hand dye. Let's see, what's the base? The colourway is Helengar, which is a Swedish thing, I think. The base is Cashmere Fluff, so it's 53, what's it? 34, oh, cashmere, so 53% baby alpaca, was Barbie, baby alpaca, 34% silk and 13% cashmere. So it's a lovely, really lovely yarn, very soft. And this is like it's a long sleeve raglan sweater, but as it's done in, you know, one strand of cashmere fluff, it's really open. So it's definitely a chuck it on over something, you know, maybe it's a bit too nice for a bikini cover up, but it's definitely a summer evenings kind of garment, not an autumn winter. 6mm needles again. So I picked it up the other day, realising I just didn't have any cables free because I've got such a lot of whips that sat on cables, and I thought, well, I should try and get that one finished, because even if I don't wear it on a holiday, which obviously I won't, it's something I can wear sort of in September. I think if I put it over a vest top and wear it with jeans, it would be a nice piece for that. And it's actually quite bright because that green has that sort of neon quality. So yeah, and also just getting on some larger needles because a lot of my whips are on smaller needles, obviously being summer. So that's a good one. And then the last active whip I have is a test knit. Oh gosh, I've got quite a few other bits and pieces in here, so hang on. It's test knit for Pickles Knit. based in Norway, and this is the Basketweavezipper. I've wanted a zipper sweater for such a long time, but I've started a few and never got around to finishing them. So this is in her merino tweed thick, but said in Norwegian, but the translation is thick merino tweed. And yeah, it's an entrelac pattern, absolutely blooming love it. But it has been hard to get the motivation to finish it off, just because it's summer and this is not the weight of yarn you want to be knitting on in the summer. That said, I want to get it finished. I feel like I've missed the deadline for the test, but I've also not received anything to say you need to give feedback, and I suspect that's because she doesn't want to be releasing it right now. So I feel like I've got a bit of time. I've given loads of feedback along the way, so it's not like I haven't played my part, but I just need to do the finishing. So I've not done all the knitting part. I'm just doing the collar at the moment, and then I need to do the hem and the cuffs, and then put the zip in. So I reckon it's a weekend's work if I'm really focused on it. Obviously I'm on school holidays now, so it doesn't need to be at the weekend. I just need sort of 2 or 3 days to go focus on it, which I probably will do next, actually, once I've finished this podcast. So those are my whips. I think that's it. Nothing else hanging out in this bag, no. So I'll talk about my yarn acquisitions. Sorry about the rustling. So first off, so that Along avec Anna yarn, I mentioned it before, but I'm just going to read the ball band. So the base is alpaca silk cashmere, and it's in a ratio of 70 to 20 to 10% of each of those. A DK weight, non-superwash, 225 meters for 100 grams. And yeah, so soft, absolutely love it. It's very easy to knit with, really enjoy it. I got quite a lot. So this is my Creative Anarchy haul. So I got 2 skeins of this one. I got 2 skeins of this, which is called Dark Mushrooms in a mohair singles. So 56% superwash merino, 44% mohair. And that is to make another Wool and Pine design t-shirt, which is a sideways knit. And I cannot currently remember the name of the pattern, but I will put a picture up here. So I've already caked up a ball and then didn't cast it on. And then I got this lovely blue, which is a Merlin sock base again. So the 80% non-superwash merinos and 20% linen. So it's the same base as this top. I don't know what I'm going to do with just a single skein of it, but it goes quite well with this. And I've got half a skein of this left, so I think maybe something stripy with that would work. Oh yeah, maybe a shell tee. Oh, that would be so nice. A blue and green striped shell tee. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I have some other yarn that I was going to use for a shell tee, but it wasn't quite grabbing me, and I think this would. Okay, my kids are screaming at each other, so I'm going to have to pause for just a moment and I'll... Okay, so it turns out, whilst they are screaming away, they are absolutely happy and absolutely fine. They're actually just screaming and laughing at each other, which is rather annoying. So sorry if that noise is annoying you, like it's annoying me, but they are absolutely fine. And my husband is down there, so obviously he knew they were fine, which is why he didn't intervene. Right, so I've just done the yarn acquisitions. One of the things I did at the start of this year was a yarn ban, because I had so much to be getting on with, and I'm still in that situation actually. So sorry, I'm getting up because I'm looking for my notes, which I actually have right next to me. Silly me. But yeah, I bought a lot of yarn in the last couple of years, and I'm overwhelmed. Like, I've packed it all away so it's safe. So I've packed it away in plastic containers and put it in cupboards and things. So now I don't see it. It's not overwhelming me quite so much. But yesterday when I was planning this podcast, I wrote a list of my knitting plans, and I have I've got the whips, which I've spoken about, although there's a sock as well, which I wouldn't class as a current whip because I've not knit any stitches on it in the last month. But then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 what I would class as abandoned whips, i.e. I know they're not off the needles yet, but I need to get them off the needles. And then I wrote a list of all the projects that I have yarn that's ready to go. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 projects that I have the yarn ready for. And I've just realised, what was the one I mentioned just before? No, the Flora scarf is on there. Oh yeah, the shell tee. So I'm adding that because I've definitely got enough yarn for that. That's a Sophie Knit Pearl Girl design. And I've just remembered another yarn acquisition, which was from the John Arbon Fibre Festival, John Arbon Textiles Festival. So what I'll do, because I don't know where it is, what I'll do is I'll put a picture here, but it was the show special. The yarn was, the show special was called Mineralogy, and I got one that's kind of a brownish sort of colour, and then I got the undyed one, which was called Alabaster. I can't remember what the brown one was called, but I got 5 skeins of the brown and 1 of the white. The brown I plan to make the Wool and Honey by Andrea Mowry, and then I plan to make this t-shirt that I actually saw on another knitter in the bookshop after the festival. No, not after the festival. Where did I see it? No, I saw her in the bookshop after the East Anglia Yarn Festival, and I decided that's what I'm going to use this John Arbon yarn for, because I used to run a lot of marathons, and the t-shirt was of like a Greek runner across the t-shirt in the colourwork yoke, so I was going to use the John Arbon yarn for that. Don't know when I'm going to have time to knit it, but that's on my plan. So I've got 2 t-shirts worth of yarn, and then I've just got so many other patterns, and then I've got a list of projects that I think I can shop from Stash for. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I know I've got the yarn for, and then I still have loads more yarn. So I'm still on a yarn ban, and I actually think because of the reason that I've not been podcasting and the busyness, I think I don't need to buy anything else. There is one thing I want to do, which is the Midland cardigan in a John Arbon yarn, and I'm due to get a discount code when the new annual releases because I tested for it, and so I'm waiting for that to buy that yarn. But otherwise, I actually don't have much of a desire to buy new yarn just because I've got such a lot to be getting on with. That said, I have done a few yarn acquisitions in that I have bought 2 yarn advents, the Castle View Yarns one and the Creative Anarchy one as well, because I'm such a good customer of hers that I just needed to do the advent as well because I know I will love it. Okay, so the life update. So basically I've not recorded a podcast I think since March. I think the last one, I was just coming up to my daughter's birthday and daughter's birthdays, because I when I rewatched it this morning I saw I was making sheep for their presents. So at the end of the spring term there was an announcement at work that there were new roles to apply for in leadership, and I didn't think anything of it. Like, I've been a classroom teacher since I became a teacher, and whilst I have done sort of promotion, what you'd call promotion posts, so extra responsibilities where you get paid a little bit more money to do a certain thing, I'd never really thought of leadership as being something I wanted to go for. But funnily enough, one of my colleagues who was going for one of the other roles really strongly encouraged me to apply. So I did apply, but I used quite a lot of energy worrying about it because it was such a big step up and wasn't really in my plans. So I stressed about it and worried about it quite a lot of the Easter holiday, even though there was obviously nothing I could do. I applied right at the start of the Easter holiday. We were meant to have interviews the week after the Easter holiday, and mine didn't happen until sort of 3 weeks after the Easter holiday. So I stressed about it for all that time, wondering when am I going to get an interview? When will I get an interview? Will they let me know last minute? Will I have no time to prepare? And then I got my offer sort of the following. So I had an interview on a Friday morning. They didn't tell me all day Friday, and they didn't tell me until like way through Monday that yes, they did want me to do the job, so that was great. But it's going to be a huge step up because currently, well, I say currently, I'm on holiday now, but I've been a part-time 4 days a week, but I work every day but finish at lunchtimes 2 days a week. And I will be going up to full-time and obviously a hell of a lot more responsibility. And that is all great in terms of me and my ambition, and I know I can do it. I've done quite senior jobs in the past, not in teaching, and I've run my own business and all, those sorts of things. So in terms of the work, I don't think it will be that bad. I think it'll be quite exciting, but it's the work alongside having a young family that it does lead to a bit of apprehension, because my youngest is still only 3. So they do still need me a lot, although a lot less than previously. Like, I already feel like this summer so much easier than this time last year, because I wouldn't have even been able to sit and film a podcast like this with them in the house, even though the other parent is here. So so that's my life update. As a result, I don't think, well, I know I'm not going to have as much time for knitting, but I don't know if I will have as much time for podcasting. So anyway, thank you for listening to all of that. Hopefully it filmed, because I feel like I've waffled a bit in the last few minutes. And I look forward to showing you what I do manage to knit in the next few weeks, because even though I will be very busy at the start of term, I feel like in the next three or 4 weeks of August, I will be able to get quite a bit of knitting done. Hopefully those whips that I showed you, so the Camden Cami and the Basket Weave and the Park Knits, hopefully I'll get all of those finished at least. If you've got any ideas of what I could do with that Creative Anarchy Merlin sock that's not the sheltie, please do let me know, because a single skein of a sock yarn that's got linen in it is a bit of a weird thing to have bought, I think. Although I suppose I could actually use it for socks, couldn't I? Because linen, it might be nice, cool socks. There's an idea. Have you ever knit with linen, with that base for socks? What was it like? All right. Anyway, I'm going to sign off here. See you in the next one. Bye.